of social media. I think it's important to kind of have the right mindset. As most of you guys know, the summer is actually the best time to use social media. It's kind of the opposite way of thinking. You know, in the winter, everyone's working real hard, obviously, you know, limited free time to some extent. They may not have as much time to use social media, whereas the summer, people are on vacation. Obviously, the workload lessens a little bit. Social media traffic basically triples. So, I mean, I think it's good to understand that now is the time to get your momentum going and really use it to grow your business. So, I think, you know, just kind of the quick overview is the reason we even want to talk about social media is because people are addicted to it. And what I find, especially with my clients, is two kind of scenarios that come from that. Some people say, I hate social media. I can't stand everyone on it. They're complaining, they're gossiping, they're talking about their problems. Probably 50% of my clients kind of think that way, and for whatever reason, it's caused them to stay away from social media. And the other 50% that's very successful, they're kind of thinking like an entrepreneur, and they're saying, yeah, there's people on social media all the time, and they're complaining, and they're gossiping, and they're, you know, crying about all their problems and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I know I can be a solution to their problems. So I'm going to use social media as a way to project myself to be the expert. So I think that step one is to understand the reason we want to spend any time at all on social media is just there's just way too many people on it. It's kind of like a massive crowd of people. And as a salesman, geez, it makes a lot of sense to be in that crowd. Now, the challenge is that as salesmen, it's kind of your guys' instincts to sell. And when I mean sell, I mean kind of like solicit to some extent. And in my opinion, that can be very dangerous on social media because one of the things that has evolved over the last 10 years, and make no mistake, we're in year 10 now pretty much of social media. One thing that's kind of evolved is it's pretty easy to differentiate between kind of like advertising and real. And I guess my point is the guys who were successful using social media for their business, they're always good at coming across as real and not some sort of advertiser or solicitor. So I think step one or tip one is when you are doing posting, you know, ask yourself, hey, am I coming across as someone who's trying to sell something? If that's the case, your posting strategy probably is not going to work, okay? In my opinion, you want to come across more of kind of like an expert, a guru, you know, the go-to person for something. And, you know, I think that's the biggest challenge with social media. You know, and let me rewind for a second. What I mean is when you're soliciting and you're trying to sell something, you know, maybe you do one thing, maybe one post or one type of advertising, and you kind of sit back and hope you get results. Social media doesn't really work like that. It's not an instant gratification. It's kind of more like dripping. You know, it's kind of a day-to-day thing that over time, if you can have the right strategy, you will get results. And I say this confidently because I have many clients who are getting results, and I've personally built my business on social media. So I feel very, very confident the results are to be had. It's just you need to kind of have that long-term mentality, that marathon approach. And I think the challenge is in the posting. What types of strategic posts are you putting out there in front of people? Again, social media is mostly people talking about their problems. And your goal is over time, you know, to have people come to you to solve their problems. And, you know, let's face it, insurance is mostly about life events. People are having children, buying houses, buying cars, starting businesses. All these things, at the end of the day, they really need someone who's an expert in risk management or insurance to help them. And, you know, I think the best mentality moving forward is to kind of have that entrepreneurial mindset. You know, let's face it, a solicitor is always trying, a salesman is always trying to make a sale. An entrepreneur is always trying to build his business. And I think that that's got to be the mindset moving forward. One, you can't let people's problems and gossip on social media bother you. So let me kind of just elaborate. Again, I said a few minutes ago, number one thing I find or I hear from my current clients who struggle with social media is they say they get frustrated with social media. They say, well, I'm on there and I see these people talking about how they had a bad cup of coffee, or they're upset that it's raining, or their kid broke their china or whatever, and it just frustrates me, and I'm sick of it, and I don't want to go on and read that stuff anymore. To me, that's somebody who's thinking impulsively. You're actually letting the day-to-day social media nonsense get to you. In my opinion, all that stuff is great. Not because I want to go on there and read it. Honestly, I could care less about it. I basically tune it out. But for me, it's great because I know so many people are so focused on social media. So there, as an entrepreneur, I realize, okay, here's my platform. I know these people are reading. I know they're on it all the time. What's my strategy going to be to project myself to be someone who can help them? And I think that that's the start of getting to the next level, understanding that, yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff getting posted, and you can't worry about that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant to some extent. What is relevant is what you're posting and what you're doing and how many people you're getting to follow you. So I think the biggest challenge now, once you've understood that, is the consistency aspect. And this is where most people, they kind of can't get to the next step. Because with social media, there's really two things you're doing. One, you're posting. And when I say posting, you're putting content on your page at least 3 to 5 times a week, new content. And two, you're kind of growing your distribution. You're trying to connect with people on LinkedIn. You're trying to get people on Facebook to go to your page and click the like button and follow you. You have to hunger that, because that is very, very important. It's a very important part of the formula. So here are kind of my initial tips. Step one is to make sure, at least when we're talking about your Facebook business page and your LinkedIn page, make sure those pages look good. Okay, I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but you would be surprised how many people come to me and say, I'm not getting results, and I look at their page and the graphics are blurry, there's incomplete areas, there's spelling mistakes. Step one, just take 10 minutes, look at each page, make sure it's complete. Step two, and this is where most people, they do the reverse. Usually at that point, once they've set up the profile, they go crazy about promoting the page. You can promote the page as much as you want, but if you don't have good content on your page, nobody cares. Because remember, we're in year 10 of social media. Back in 2006, you may have been able to say, hey, everybody, we got a new Facebook page. Go and follow us. And, yeah, people went and they followed it because they had no idea what they were doing. 2015, most people are like Facebook gurus to some extent. They're not going to be so quick to follow you unless they know they're getting something. What's the value of it, they're thinking? Do I really need another thing on my feed? Another guy soliciting me? So you have to understand that the value on the other side, right, the people who are going to follow you, the value for them is things you're posting. So what you need to make sure you do is get some good content on your pages. And my suggestion would be kind of educational content, updates, tips, advice, your opinion, things that project you to be the guru. And, at the bare minimum, at least once or twice a week, getting this stuff on there. If you can do that, now again, so let's just say you're kind of trying to get your momentum going. You haven't used social media. My suggestion is post for about 1 week. So at least get like 4 or 5 good posts on there. Then you can work on telling people about your social media presence. And obviously, you want to really focus on your clients. Now, one of the things I find a lot of people get confused with is they say, well, wait a minute. You're saying you want me to get my clients to follow me? I want to get new clients from social media. How do I get new clients? Really, you want to start with your clients, because with social media, especially Facebook, when you're posting, you have the ability to tap into the people your clients are connected with. And in the end, that's where the referrals come from. So yes, you want to start off with getting your clients, your friends, your family, your old college buddies, all the people you know and that have positive feelings towards you, get them to follow you. You know, at the end of the day, you really should have 50% of your client base following you on social media, you know, in a combination of LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you can do that, I'm very confident you will get referrals. Because at the end of the day, distribution is so important. It's king. And you know, the difference between people being successful and failing is the guys who are successful, they hunger connecting with people. And I guess the best way to put it, it never ends. You're never done. It's never like, okay, I got 500 connections. I can feel good about myself. No. Now you work on the next 500. You know, you want to get the biggest pool, the biggest crowd of people possible following you. And so obviously, A, you never stop hungering to connect, and B, you never stop posting. And again, this is the difference between failure and success. The guys who are successful, they are consistent. I mean, I can't hit it as much as I'm hitting it. Consistency is so key. The people that fail, they burn out. They do it hard for 2-3 weeks. Then they say, oh, I'm not getting any results. It doesn't work, and they give up. Well, the reality is that it's a marathon, and nobody really buys insurance impulsively anymore. You know, it's only when they have some sort of problem, some sort of, they got an 80% rate increase, or they're just about to have a kid, you know, then all of a sudden they're a little bit more motivated to talk to somebody. So you play your percentages, and the percentages say the more people you can project yourself to be an expert in front of, the more chance that those percentages fall in your favor. You know, I think the best way to think about it, guys, is social media doesn't change the way you run your business. It doesn't mean you don't do any other marketing at all. It's just another complementary thing you do. And the key is to be doing it very efficiently, spending 5 or 10 minutes a day doing it, having a system in place. You know, one of the things that I always got good at is every time I got a business card, every time somebody emailed me, I always did a good job at kind of taking that email, putting it into Facebook or putting it into LinkedIn and asking those people to connect. Yeah, it took 2 seconds, but I always did it day in, day out. Next thing you know, I got 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. You know, it's just having that kind of thought process, that consistency, that makes it more efficient. The person that struggles, they don't pay attention for 3 weeks. Then they go, oh, my God, I got 75 email addresses I got to put in LinkedIn. Hey, it may take an hour. But if you just spent 20 seconds each day doing it, it would have felt so much easier. So, you know, I'll do a webinar moving forward on having that kind of system, but that becomes very important. So obviously you can never stop posting. No posting equals no results. And I think, you know, the best way to think about it is social media, to be successful, it's very kind of blue-collar-like. It's not flashy. You know, it's just about being consistent, being diligent, and making sure that the content you're posting is consistent and is projecting you guys to be the expert. Do that, you're better off. On the flip side, like I said, you don't want to be sitting there for 45 minutes a day. It's just not worth the time, and that means you're probably going to burn out because I'm sure you need those 45 minutes to run your business in some other way. So hopefully today give you a little bit more of a better mindset. Next week, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit more about having a system in place, and you know, hopefully that'll help. So I appreciate your time. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to everyone soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.